CSS selectors. So in CSS, selectors are patterns used to select the elements you want to style. So in this lesson, in this tutorial, I'm going to talk you about CSS selectors. And firstly, let's talk about just one example. That's the CSS class selector. I'm going to show you how actually it looks. And firstly, let's move to our index.html, and let's say that we have h1 and I want to give some class to my h1, guys, and then this class that's the class name you want to call. Doesn't matter, you can just call your I don't know, the related names to your project. So I'm going to call that my class because that's the first time I'm trying to talk about in the CSS tutorial. So let's call that my class. So if we assigned the my class to our h1, so we can write firstly in our style CSS first dot and then class name, and as usual open up the curly brackets, and within the brackets you can assign a value to any property. So let's say we want to change or give some color, and that's all. And then as well text align center. So refresh, let's open up. That was the another CSS styles from the previous video. So I'm going to refresh. So I have that's our CSS in a blue color with center, text align center. So that's the way first selector class, how actually it works. So if I give some div, I'll create some div, and let's move down a little bit and then open up my div tag and close div tag over here. That's the one. That's total one div. Okay. So let's write and then copy and paste and create the second div and the third div. So we have 3 different divs. So let's write over here and then or delete this class and assign. We have the first div, and with the classes, so we assign the property, assign a value to the class, my class selector, and then I'm going to show you ID for the second div, and then I'm gonna call this ID my ID, guys. So save that. That's the second one. Okay, in a CSS style CSS file, I can use the hash and my ID. So let's write here cursor pointer. So the websites like just w3.com, w3school.com, and then CSS tricks. So there you can find more properties that you can use in your projects. Alright, so right now let's say I want to just give some cursor and pointer, and then border 2 pixels, solid brown. Okay, so that's my ID. That was the second selector. So if you call your class or assign some class to your tag, let's say in HTML tag, you can use this class with dot. If you assign some ID, you have to use in your style CSS the hash, alright? Hash sign. So that's the difference between class and ID, okay? Right now, that's not the main difference, but if you talking about the CSS, here, that's the main difference. You can just use these signs. So I'm going to save that and refresh my page. As you see here, my second div was bordered in with the brown with 2 pixels, okay? So, and cursor pointer as well. So you can see how it changed actually. My cursor here totally on div, whole div, around the div. I can play around the div and then the cursor changes to pointer. That's the small mouse hand, okay? But here, that's the normal cursor. So guys, then it works like that, and then that's the 2 main, let's say, class and IDs selectors. So I'm going to talk about right now div, or not div, let's say element, one element in comma and second element. What I mean actually. So I'm going to delete that totally. I don't need the second one. That's the one is enough, pretty enough for me. So I have 3 P's in one H1. So now I'm going to use my H1 as well as my P. How can do that in H1? That's the normal element. We can give some style, you know. Actually we can give directly this using only element name and then open up the curly brackets. And if I want to element comma the second element, so my H1 and P as well, we can apply the same value to the properties was chosen by us. And what I mean actually, if I go to, let's say, if I give some text align center, okay, well, let's write border, with the border is a little bit pretty nice, border 2 pixels. So I'm going to write over here dashed green, okay. So now we have for H1, for P as well. So we have 2 different elements, and for the same property for both elements. I'm going to refresh the page, and I didn't save my HTML, index HTML. That was the reason it changed only strange way. Okay, now as you see here, we could apply these border style to our P's as well to our H1, okay. If you want to make it clear, let's delete that and save that right now. So my H1, my P. So guys, let's say I don't want dashed green, I want solid blue or some RGBA. Then I will talk about the colors in CSS. So now we have 2 borders because we assigned the same properties the same value for different tags elements. So that's why if you want to add some, let's say if you have another thingy here, if you have some, let's say ULLI or ULLIs blue, or say color, home, 3 different words, date, I don't know, I've written just 3 unrelated words, okay, but now I want to apply the same thing for UL as well. So writing over here UL, so as you see here, that was applied. If not, this UL without border. So that's element comma element, and then we can just talk about one tricky selector, that's element and element without any sign, H1 P. Okay, so element, okay, let's save that, refresh, nothing works. So I'm going to show you this simple, or let's say this tricky selector, using this selector with that way. So that means I have P inside H1, okay? So I have P inside H1. I'm going to write away P and then close my P. Okay, save that. Alright, now I have saved that, refresh. That's our CSS. Now that was applied to our P that is inside my H1. Not for all P, okay? That was applied only the P for the P which was inside of this H1, okay? For the second P, I can assign another class or something different, okay? So that's the next selector we've talked about. And one thing more I'm going to show you guys, H1 bigger than P. I'm going to save that and refresh the page. So as you see here, that keeps the same, but here we can say that the paragraph is parent of H1, okay? So let's say I have H1 and then P within this P, and I can write over here do it with a normal way. It's readable right now. Div, okay? So we have special div, and with the paragraph, that's our CSS, and I'm going to save that and refresh. Now refresh, nothing works. But element bigger than element, that selects all P elements where the parent is a div element, okay? So here our div that select all P, that this P again within this H1, or let's say I don't have any div. Let's say I have right now I tried to explain with div tag, but it's the same thing, it's the same way with h1 as well. So here we can select all p elements where the parent is a h1 element. Okay, here the h1 is like parent, so as a parent we can apply that. All right, as a parent we can give some color as well, yellow. Okay, so all right, now I'm going to talk you the last thing, that's the star. This star, guys, with this star we can give some more values to all properties, so select all elements. Okay, so let's write over here color brownie. Okay, save that and refresh. That was changed, but that didn't change because then we assign different color. So as you know, the CSS has own rule that the CSS takes or selects the last property. So if it was assigned before the color and then later you will change the color, if you change the color later, automatically CSS chooses the last one. So on the top of our code, I've decided write the color, assign the color brown for all my tags. But right now, then I've deleted the last one. I'm going to save that and refresh. As you see here, the brown color was assigned for all tags as well as for h1, for ul, for p as well. Okay, so that's the main selectors we've talked about, and you can learn by practicing with the simple examples and actually how they works and understand their algorithm. Okay, so that's the way how they work as well. So then I told you the last thing, but I want to just tell you the plus as well, because h1 plus p, that mean h1, we have one h1. Let's say that's our CSS, that's our h1, and after the h1 I have another p, guys. h1 then p plus p, that's together, and then solid blue. Save that, refresh, h1 and plus. What that mean actually, a element plus element plus element means that this will select all p elements that are placed immediately after h1 elements. So after h1 we have p, this p was changed to with our let's say properties. So now I'm going to assign some lorem text, or right over here some lorem text, but it will be before h1, and then save that and refresh. As you see here, we couldn't apply the same border for the first paragraph. So that's the way how element plus element works, guys. That's all about interesting thing about CSS selectors, and you can learn more CSS selectors about in our friendly website w3schools.com. There you can show, I will show you here, and then w3schools.com, and we have here some, let's open up CSS, and then I'm going to show you CSS selectors. So guys, in a CSS selector reference or CSS selectors, you can learn actually how they works, okay? All class selector, you can learn about universal, that was explained in our tutorial. And let's write here CSS selector reference w3.com schools.com, and I guess it was no, yes, just wait. CSS selector reference. Okay, so now here, let's close that, and then here you can see all selector and listed here, and there is explanations, and then you can use and learn about more all CSS selector reference, guys. So that's all. I'm so excited to talk to you about different CSS properties in the next video.